All right, this was a solid start. It reminds me of like after you watch a movie and then the second one comes out and they're like the gang's still here chasing marks, that whole thing. Like, love that. I love that this book opens with in the prologue Wax meeting Lessie, and the whole time she's just like razzing him for how stupid he looks because they're like, a cravat? Really? Like, you're doing that, huh? And then you think she's gonna betray him, but then she betrays Granite Joe. I love it. I love it. And I love that there's characters named Granite Joe, and he has like gray skin because he's Koloss descendant. See, that's like every Western has, Curly Bill and like Johnny Ringo and stuff like that. Like, they have those sort of old Westerny names. So I love that this one opens with Granite Joe. So love that. I love that Leslie turns and then kills Granite Joe and is like looking at Wax and goes from like razzing him the whole time to like kind of making eyes at him. Love that. I love that the opening like chase scene with the three with Wax, Wayne, and Marisi. Fantastic. Fantastic. And so Winsting, the guy who's like going to sell his art to the other noblemen, and it's all just a front. Like, he's just taking bribes in the form of payment for the art, and everyone gets killed, including him, gets his throat slit at the end. I mean, Mr. Suit is behind that, right? Like, Wax's uncle for sure is behind that. And he is not messing around. I mean, that is a power move. And so is Wax is reading a book, right? It's the same book, I'm pretty sure. It's the same book that Marsh gave to Marisi to give to him. And in it, Marsh says, hemalurgy is good now. We should use it. He's like, I don't know what Say's expected of me. Because at first I was like, whoa, is Wax calling Sazed Says? Are they already on nickname terms? Because Sazed is kind of his god a little. But no, so it's Marsh. And Marsh is like, I'm here. Like, we should use this. Hemalurgy is here. And, it's not being abused because Ruin is gone. So, like, what are we doing? Interesting thing to put there. And also, it's been a year from the first book to now. That's pretty cool. I love Wayne and Steris. Wayne is like, hello, crazy. She's like, hello, idiot. The banter is fantastic. I love that Wax still has vindication. I don't know why I had assumed that he would have to give it back to Renette. I'm an idiot. So the fact that he still has it is cool. I love that Wayne is like talking to his hats. He's like, it's gonna be okay. You can't come with us this time, but I'll be back. And Wayne's the best. And then he goes undercover for like the homeless people, and then he has Marks the whole time, and he's just like hanging out and just like eating an apple. Be like, hey, yeah. Oh, by the way, I got him. She's like, oh my god, that's him. And he's like, yeah. What can I say? I'm good at this. And they're like, are you gonna, how? And he's like, I don't ask. I don't ask anymore. And then, like in Attack of the Clones, when they finally get Zam Wesell and Jango Fett shoots her in the throat, they got Marks, and then he gets assassinated right in front of them, and then Marisi gets taken prisoner, and this is something that I have never seen in anything before. Marisi's got a gun to her head, and then she just goes like, boom, and kills the guy who's got her hostage? I don't know why I've never seen that before in anything, but she's just like right up underneath and bang, got him. But then she was like in shock, kind of like for anyone who's played The Last of Us, when Ellie first kills her first guy who's trying to kill Joel, and she's just like, I really shot the hell out of that guy, huh? It really kind of reminded me of that. And yeah, no surprise to anyone, I'm loving it already. Where are we gonna go? Because that's a lot of things happen in the beginning. A lot of things. Oh man, a lot has happened, and it has been such a roller coaster. And so here we go. So starting out kind of light and funny at the crime scene with Wisting. Wayne stole a flask, and he's just like, yeah, this looks pretty bad. And the initials aren't his, so he just like grabbed it off a body, and it's like, he's dead. What's he gonna use it for? I found out that steel runners are ferrochemists who can store speed. That sounds incredibly dangerous. So is living without a tongue. They cut out Winston's tongue? Listen, Is Wax's uncle even more sadistic than I imagined? Because that sends a message. Maybe Winston talked and he shouldn't have, and they're like, let's send this message, cut his tongue out. Yikes. I do love when Wayne went to go talk to Wax and he sees the candelabra and he's like, wow, that is really expensive and very nice. And then they mention briefly the doily, but they make you think he's going to take the candelabra, but he actually just takes the doily and puts a handkerchief back and blows his nose in it. I love the way that Wayne sees the world, and he's like, yeah, it's a good trade. That's what we're doing. This is how the world works. That's totally equivalent. I did find it pretty heartbreaking, which we'll get to more heartbreaking in a second, but that Wayne can't even draw a gun without his hands shaking. It goes from, hey, he can't even draw a gun without his hands shaking, to, here's some Wayne wisdom. Treat every woman as if she has an older brother that's stronger than you. And she's like, oh, these are things that you've said in the past. He's like, I did? Oh, maybe I should write these down. I like that there's a terrace community, and that the community leader is Wax's grandma. That's pretty cool. I enjoy that a lot. And then I love what they're doing with Wayne, because they'll give you bits until you get to the reveal. The fact that he broke into a university and got himself drunk and then immediately healed himself from being drunk. There's a quote that I really, really like that I'm like, I need to use this in my real life. When it says, I ain't drunk, I'm investigating alternative states of sobriety. Wayne, you poet. I love it. I love it. The scene where Wayne breaks into the university and then he goes to see Alejandra and he has the money for her, and he does this every month, and she's the daughter of the man that he killed, and she makes him say it out loud to her face, and then to his face says just so you know, you're not forgiven and I'm never gonna forgive you. Damn. And then, to make it even worse, well, not worse for Wayne, because it can't get worse for Wayne, but Wax is also kind of getting his own beat down, because his grandma is like, oh, you're looking for a ferrochemist killer? Look in the mirror. Yikes. It is an interesting kind of philosophical debate they're having, where Wax is like, you are your actions and what you do. And his grandma's like, no, who you are is what you are. I was like, very interesting. I love questions like that make me think, because actions speak louder than words. And you are the culmination of what you do, but there is some leeway in the sense of the context matters. And why did you do what you do? Does that matter? You know? I don't know. But apparently the ferrochemist that he's looking for is a woman. Interesting. And Wax knew her. But, and this part, honestly, it almost got me. I almost started tearing up when Wayne says essentially why didn't you kill me? And Wax says, I would have if you had been killing people. And we find out that Wax found Wayne as a kid, and he was hiding under a house, holding his ears, having PTSD from what he just did. Oh, this guy. He was just a kid that got all messed up. Oof. And this is all... I'm not even halfway through, and this is book 2. This is gonna ruin me, isn't it? Ugh. Alright, so they found Ayadashwi, and she's dead. And somebody used her in hemalurgy to take her abilities as a steel runner? Steel runner? Is that what it was? To kill Lord Winston. Okay, so somebody's doing some crazy shit around here, and we need to find out who it is. And also, it mentioned that... So Spook wrote the book that Wax is reading, that he got from Marisi, that she got from Marsh, right? But it said that in the, founding texts, Sazed's book of, here's the histories of everything that happened, Sazed purposefully left out hemalurgy. But Spook was like, yeah, I think it's important. Somebody's probably going to start doing this shit again, so we need to have a record of this somehow. Which is smart, because it is happening now. But at the same time, it's why did Sazed leave it out? I know it's terrible, and it's a dark art, and, it's scary, but why leave it out, pal? Marisi being the person who's next to the would-be assassin of the governor is so funny. She just has the worst luck. She's just looking around and the guy turns around and says, ah! But her powers once again come in handy. I like it. Wax and Wayne getting back to the house, and the butler's like, Renette was just here. And Wayne is like, oh no, we missed her. And Wax was like, what does she have? And it's like, oh, she has a new thing that she wants you to test out. It's like, oh, cool. And Wayne was like, did she leave anything for me? And he's like, yes, she asked me to slap you. And he's like, see, I knew she loved me. And then he just bends over and he's like, come on. Something cool, though, is Wax said, like, you know, we've stepped into something bigger than ourselves, like into the realm of gods. And he mentions, you know, Harmony and Iron Eyes and Lord Mistborn. And they're gods now to them. And I was like, nah, this is just Kelsier's crew and his brother. They're my friends. I knew them from a while back. Don't worry. Amazing. Something not amazing, though. Okay, so I'm listening to the audiobook. And Michael Kramer, for whatever reason, in Shadows of Self, chapter 7, I think I'm on, he changed Sazed's voice. So Wax is in his carriage, and he puts the earring in, and okay, here we go. And immediately, so Sazed, anyone that's listened to the audiobook, Sazed is like it's like a higher pitch, sort of like, I don't think that is what you need, I think. You know, like that kind of register. For whatever reason, he put the earring in the carriage, and he's like, hi, what is happening? Did you think this would work? And I'm like, who is that? Wax was like, oh shit, and like pulled his gun out, and he's like, if you shoot me, you will just ruin your carriage. And I was like, who is this? That's not Sazed. But apparently it is. Did he change the voice of Sazed, or is some shit sideways right now? Is there some trickery afoot? Because I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Ooh, so Bloody Tan is a Khandra? Khandra's back? And they're called the Faceless Immortals now? That's pretty cool. And Tensoon is known as the Guardian in the lore. I love that. But also, hold on. So, Bloody Tan is actually called Bleeder. And she is a Khandra, but she's from the 3rd generation. Which is before remaking the whole world, before everything literally destroyed. She's 3rd generation. Tensoon was 3rd generation as well. Does that mean Tensoon might still be alive? Because that would be awesome. Anyway, so that also, Preservation could read people's thoughts, but he couldn't talk to them. Ruin could talk to them, but he couldn't read their thoughts. Very interesting. But now Sazed can do both. I like that. I also like that Wax was sarcastic to Sazed, and he's like, oh God, am I being sarcastic to God right now? And Sazed's like, yeah, but it's nice. I kind of missed it. People aren't sarcastic with me anymore, and it makes me think of Kelsier. I like that. And another thing getting weird, the narrator is mispronouncing Spook's name. Because it's Lestibornes, right? But now he's saying Lestiborns. And I was like, what? What is happening? Am I picking up on something? Or am I being gaslit into these pronunciations? So Bleeder is out here just doing a BMO from Adventure Time, where he like sets the batteries up, and then he pulls his out and just falls backwards dead, and then opens up. She's doing that with spikes? What? Also, I love that there's a Khandra that's working for Sazed. And I love that Sazed was like, hey, by the way, stop being so hard on Marisi because you're uncomfortable that she looks up to you. Because I spent so much time moving her up this ladder. Just get over yourself, dude. I love it. The whole backstory with Wax when he was a kid, and the coin, and the bank, and all that. Ooh. That was good. I love that he's like, hey, this is worth a whole lot. And he's like, cool. And goes and immediately tries to pay off the poor guy's debt. But it's the system. As someone who grew up incredibly poor, it's close to home. Also, putting the coin in the dude's arm on some David Blaine stuff, that's dark. And the fact that there was something that happened in the Terrace Village when Wax was younger that sent him into the roughs. Very interested to see what that's about. I am loving Steris being like, yep, he saved my life. This is my betrothed. I've already accounted for this. Let's fly. Like, I love that she's game now. It's very cool. And also, who is in Wax's head? Oh, wait, I know who's in Wax's head. It's What's-Her-Face. But how is she able to do that? Because, oof. This is like a movie. When he's in the ball, and then he hears the voice, and it's like, I haven't even killed your dad yet. You're like, what the shit? And he turns around, and it's the waiter, and the waiter jumps and ditches. And the Kandra that says it's sent to help Wax is Milan. Is that the same woman, Kandra, that helped Tensoon in his trial? Am I remembering that correctly? Also, she said Tensoon! She said, don't tell him that I'm killing people because he's going to be really mad. He's still alive! I love that. Bleeder mentioned Lessie, which is crazy. Again, Brandon Sanderson, from the very beginning, bringing it back. So this Kandra was a part of that, and she's like doing some crazy shit. And Wax has a grappling hook now. That's pretty cool. But yeah, where's this going? Where is this going? I'm just like a bunch of thoughts and feelings. Also, they mentioned Tindwell Promenade. Tindwell has a street named after her, and I love it. I also love the idea that like the coins that they had, like for their money, had Spook on them. Look at that guy. He went from thinking he was nobody and couldn't be of any help to literally being on the money. Well done, Spook. Well done. Update. Listen, Wayne just keeps getting better and better. Better and better. The fact that there's a scene of Wayne asking a woman about her shoes, be like, well, those are nice. They look comfortable. And she's like, yeah, you're a man. And he's like, yeah, I know, but like, those are nice shoes. Where'd you get them? Hilarious. And even more funny, Wayne and Milan going back and forth, like burping and just being vulgar. And then Milan also burping from her hand. I love this. This is so ridiculous. And also, a part of me, was there a spark there? Was there a little something? Because that would be awesome. It is also funny how often everyone is commenting on just how hot Milan is. She walks into a room and everyone's like, holy shit. Do you see that? Who is that? It just keeps coming up. And like everyone is like, oh my God. And then Milan talking to the police chief and being like, here's my true form. And he's like, oh my God, can you put in a good word with Harmony for me? And she's like, your deeds are good enough. Also, you snore really loud. If you could kind of figure that out, that'd be great for everyone. And then she leaves and he's like, what does she mean, snoring? She's a demigod, so that's got to be a metaphor for something. Huh. So funny. Not funny, though, is a priest getting his eyes spiked in so much that he's pinned to the door, and then Bleeder trying to turn Wax against Sazed, being like, hey, did you ever think maybe that he let Lessie die because he needed you back in Ellendale? You ever think about that? That is some dark shit, man. That is not good. I love how creative Wax is when, like, having a gunfight with opponents that, like, bullets don't necessarily do anything. Like an Alloy of Law with Miles, he keeps shooting his hand. Being like, all right, well, you can't shoot me back if you don't have a gun. And he does the same thing with Bleeder through the masks and, like, shoots her in the ankle so she falls over. And it's like, all right, cool. Like, that's so smart. And then I was a little confused because she is steel running and he was too. That's because he's in her bubble with her, right? Not because Wax can also steel run now, right? Either way, things are picking up, and I don't know where this is going, and how are they going to kill Bleeder? Or more importantly, what's the plan here? Is Bleeder working for somebody else? Is there something else? Is Bleeder and Wax's uncle connected somehow? Trying to force a mango through his delicate donut is the most absurd thing I have heard in a very long time. Wayne's vulgarity, next level. Next level. Also, Milan calling Wayne cute, and he's like, I'm taken. What? Dude, what are you doing? I understand the Renette thing, but also, come on, man. Bleeder going to the homeland of the Kandra, very interesting. And the conversation between Wax and his uncle, rough. For his uncle to be like, do you realize you're the problem? Like, you're the oppressor? Can you say that you wouldn't have arrested Vin and thrown her away? And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, no. I feel like Wax might have. Like, if Kelsier and his crew were, like, running around doing what they were doing, and Wax was, like, you know, a Luthadel, like, guard, I think he might. Wayne hearing Renette's voice from, like, across the room, be like, oh, and just running to go see her. And he's like, oh, hey. And she's like, dude, I don't like you at all. He's like, come on. She's like, I have something for Wax. Here you go. And it's a bullet, but, like, a special bullet. Interesting. Tensoon is back. Tensoon is back, and he's still a dog. Very interesting, because it's been, like, 300 years. And he chose to stay as a dog. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But it's just very, very interesting that's what happened. And the fact that he's like, yes, I have stuffed toys. I know. And they're called Suni pups? Why does no one else of, like, the original, you know, leaders of the world, the founders, why does nobody else get stuffed toys and, like, infantilize? Because Tensoon's a dog? That's what he gets? That's pretty funny. Bleeder was the Lord Ruler's pet Kandra? Like, his number one, this is his one? Ooh, that for sure has some residual effects. Not good. Not good. And Bleeder also saying that Sazed tried to get her to do something that she didn't want to do, and that's, like, one of her justifications for why she kind of, like, snapped and is doing what she's doing now. Huh. Listen, I understand that Sazed is Harmony now, and that he's, like, the god of this world, but I'm ride or die. I'm ride or die for Sazed. If she's trying to turn me against him, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'll tell you what is going to work. Her being so much smarter than me, like every other person in any of these books, the fact that she knew Tensoon and the other Kandra were going to send out priests to try and, like, all right, everyone, let's calm down, let's not riot, you know, let's figure this out. The survivor wouldn't want that. She knew they would do that, so then she's got the syringe to, like, melt the Kandras in front of people just so they can be like, hey, look, they're lying to you, just so you know. That's not a priest of the survivor, just so you know. Woo! Smart. Very, very smart. Also, in the broadsheet, you know, stories with, like, Alamancer Jack talking about all the, you know, those little old Western little pamphlets with the little stories, he hates Wax? What is that about? Also, the entire crowd turning and being like, yeah, they're lying, and also they sent cops here, and everyone just looks at Wayne. Don't touch my boy. Don't touch my boy. That's all I'm going to say. Here we go. Tensoon and Wax are fighting dog men creature things. Ugh. It kind of reminds me of in Hunger Games. Those creatures that Finnick gets killed by. Like, ew. Also interesting that Tensoon said, you know, I am Harmony's preservation. You are his ruin. Interesting. The implications of this. Can someone be both? Or are you limited to one? Can somebody be preservation and ruin? Like, play both? Can you switch sides? Is that a thing? And Wayne taunting the crowd as they're like, get him! He's like, hey, over here! And just runs. Hilarious. And of course, he figures out who it is because the accent is slightly wrong and he pays attention to all of that. I love that. I love that. And Wax is in the pits of Hat's Sin? Love that callback. That's pretty cool. Although, he mentioned as he was climbing out, he's like, yeah, right over here, there used to be these geodes that had atium in them. But he said that he referred to atium as the lost metal. Isn't that the name of the last book in this era? Huh. And Tensoon mentioned earlier, or when they were walking by, the Bands of Mourning. That's the next book. What is going on here? The governor is Bleeder? And he's been that way for a while? To the point where he even killed the guard? Because Wax had shot her, and she needed a reason to have blood on her, so she killed the guard? Whoa. I love that Wayne is, like, sticking gum on the window, and he's like, but what? Huh? What the hell, dude? A part of me thinks I jinxed it. A part of me thinks I jinxed it. Because the last video, I said, don't try to turn me against Sazed. Don't try to do it. What are you doing, Brandon Sanderson? Leslie was a Kandra the whole time. the whole time, that's like the thing that keeps happening now. Leslie was a Kandra, and Wax killed her, but didn't, and just had to live in this guilt for years and this PTSD for forever. And I like that Steris was there with him at the end. It breaks my heart that he finally broke. But just like, why? And I understand it was a special spike in her, and that's why she was able to do, Ferrochemy and Allomancy, because she's a Kandra, and she'll be able to do that, and now it's there, and there may be another god, whatever the hell Trell is, trying to mess with Sazed and mess him up, but like, what is this? And like, he sent her out there to watch over him, to be like a bodyguard, but then obviously Wax fell in love with her, and I want to feel like it was reciprocated, and that this sucks. Like I'm angry because what is happening? Like, please tell me that Sazed. I mean, don't tell me, but I don't want Sazed to be the bad guy. But she was the bad guy, clearly. But was she? And just... this shit is so complicated now. And I just... yeah, that's where we're at. That is where we are at. The Kandra was sent to Wax. But see, here's the problem. Is she made a lot of sense. She said that Sazed sent her to be there with him. Okay, got it. I everyone seems to agree. Tensoon confirmed it. Okay, makes sense. But then she said that Sazed needed Wax back in Ellendale, and he wasn't going to go as long as he was happy with Leslie in the back, so he had to take her out. Do I believe her or not? I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to accept that Sazed might be the bad guy. Because, no. I don't know. Okay. Alright. Full review coming tomorrow. And I'm for sure going to pick up Bands of Mourning as well. Here we are. Milan made a very good point that every decision that you make, you're saving someone, killing someone else, and that would be beyond stressful. And I get it. But Leslie would rather kill herself than be under Sazed's control. If it even is control, she would rather die than have Sazed back in her head. There's no way Sazed's the bad. Somebody's messing with her. Somebody has to be. That weird spike, maybe that's whatever this Trell thing is. Maybe there's an evil god that's just trying to mess shit up over here for Sazed. That's got to be it. I am in denial, or I'm right. Because Sazed, my friend Sazed, would never do the things that he's being accused of. And, but... I don't know. That's it. Full review tomorrow. Bands of Mourning next. All right. Let's talk about it. For starters, I loved it. I thought it was great. Compared to The Alloy of Law, I definitely feel like this was the beginning of something, and it was setting a bunch of stuff up, which makes sense with everyone telling me that The Alloy of Law, wasn't in the original plan. He just kind of threw that out there, and Shadows of Self is, the beginning of the trilogy. If you watched my last video, I got a lot of feelings. I got a lot of feelings about this, but I did love it. I loved that, well, now that I'm thinking about, okay, I'm not gonna get upset. I was gonna say that I love how it opens with, Wax meeting Leslie. But now I know a little more about that meeting, and it's not as fun as I thought. I loved the twists and turns in this book. I love that the villain now, who knows. I love that the villain, antagonist, That's a better word. I love that the antagonist was a Khandra. I loved seeing Tensoon again. That was very cool. I loved, as much as it broke my heart, I loved Wayne and Alejandra, and that whole scene with him paying her the money every month, that sort of backstory. I really loved Maurice's arc in this book. The fact that she's working her way up the ranks, the fact that she's like totally capable, shooting the guy taking her hostage and being in charge of a lot of stuff. I thought that was great. Just great book. I love the twists and turns. The fact that there's a rogue Khandra that, is switching out spikes to have powers. That's cool. But the ending. I mean, just the reveal after the reveal after the reveal of, oh shit, Tan is a Khandra and it's third generation. Oh snap. And then, oh wait, it's the governor, and the governor has been, a Khandra this whole time. To, oh shit, she has Leslie's face. She ate Leslie's body. To, she is Leslie. To, Sazed sent her to watch out for Wax and then had him kill her to get him to go to Ellendale. This was so interesting and different from any of the other books, really, because the other books is like, this happens, to, a peak of like, oh shit, and then we did it. Or, the Well of Ascension is like, this, oh shit, what did she do? This one was like, oh, huh, no, what? Huh, just, what a roller coaster. And then, like, I mentioned this already, the fact that, Leslie would rather die than have Sazed back in her head is rough. But the fact that the spike, the second spike, even Sazed doesn't know what it is. They're like, it's a metal that they're not familiar with. Interesting. And then Trell, whatever Trell is, that's a big question. But now it's like there might be another god that is against Sazed and is trying to mess up whatever Sazed is doing on Scadrial. But why? And where does this all like come into play? Like I'm feeling kind of what I felt when I was reading, like Elantris and the Hope of Elantris, and the Emperor's Soul, and just like Secret History as well. Super zoomed out and is like what you think is the whole picture is a small part of a much bigger picture. So it's like it's such an emotional roller coaster of like, I want to care about these things, but if these things are really, really small, do I care more about them or do I care less about them? How do I do this? And that is something that I really love about his books, is that sort of like grappling with those emotions, and even this one, like, oh God, like Sazed, like, come on. Like, I don't doubt that, I believe Sazed is trying his best. I'm excited to learn more and see where it goes from here. I don't think he would, like, haphazardly put things in motion that are terrible for the sake of being terrible, if that makes sense. Like, I think Milan mentioned at the end, like, maybe he gave the pain to someone he knew could bear it. Like, I get that. But, like, I don't know. Like, this is still so fresh. Just the idea that, like, I don't mind. I feel okay about, Sazed sending Leslie to Wax to take care of him, to watch him, because he's important, right? I get it. I'm cool with that. The fact that they fell in love, I'm cool with that. But if what she said is true, and that Sazed was like, we need to get him to Ellendale, and we need to have him murder his wife accidentally to do so. Couldn't there have been another way? Like, come on. But at the same time, we're only halfway through. There's still more answers, I'm sure, to come. It's just tough. But I love this. I love this sort of like grappling I'm having to do with myself, like it's crazy. This series is awesome. And this book was fantastic. It balanced the humor really well because it was making me laugh, then also like breaking my heart, and also like making me guess and what's going on. And like this last section of like who is who and how long have they been at, like what is the plan here? You know, like was Bleeder working with Wax's uncle? How does he fit into all of this? Because if we're talking about other gods, I feel like I doubt that his uncle is a part of that, you know? So that's very interesting. And also, how was Bleeder able to talk to Wax in his head? How is that a thing? And I'm just so interested to see where this goes, because Milan is like, shit is bad. Things are going sideways, and we're not sure what's happening. And just everything about that. And Tensoon is like, I just found out a couple days ago. He said not to tell you. But yeah, I feel like there's two battles going on at the same time. One is like in Elendel with Wax's uncle and all of that. And the other is like with the gods, and there's other metals out there that Sazed doesn't even know about, and he's supposed to know pretty much everything. So, what is that? And like, I get it. There were two shards that were held by two different people, and now Sazed is holding both. And I understand that it must be incredibly difficult to know that every decision you make has a yin and yang effect. It's like there is no fully good or fully bad. Even if you make a good decision, there's going to be a negative consequence to it, and that would tear at people. I get it. I understand. But Sazed, that's my pal. But it's okay. Like, honestly, this is 2 out of 4. Like we're still on the journey. We're still going. I'm not supposed to have all the answers right now. I'm just really feeling it now. That was Kubo. He's also very, very invested in the story. All that said, this has been an amazing ride. I'm very excited to see where it goes. I'm very excited to see how everything kind of figures itself out. Like, how do you live with yourself after this? If I was Wax, I'd be having a rough time. Especially because he spent years thinking he killed his wife by accident, and now he knows for a fact he killed her. Rough. But like I said, I cannot wait. I went to Barnes & Noble today. I got the Bands of Mourning. It looks like Steris, I'm assuming, and Wax are going somewhere cold. I love that Steris is on this cover. Makes me think she's going on an adventure with him. That's pretty cool. And we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I'm starting this today. I am very nervously excited for where this goes, because this book put me through the emotional ringer. So yeah, that's that. We are officially on the Bands of Mourning. Whew. Let's do this.